What is going on, comic book fans? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Wednesday pull list, which is your hype video for New Comic Book Day. And this week's New Comic Book Day is January 15th of 2025. And there are some really nice covers. There are some really amazing books coming out this week on New Comic Book Day. I should say based off the previous issue, because I just read the previous issue to every single book that's on my pull list. So I am really excited for the next issue of a lot of these books, because I haven't read the books that are coming out this week. I just read the previous issues and I tell you what books I'm most excited to pick up based on the previous issues. So let's not waste any more time because this video tends to be a little long. Let's dive right in and cover all of my favorite covers that are coming out this week with my cover lover picks. Alright guys, there are a bunch of covers, so let's go ahead and dive right in. And the first one up is Batman, Superman, World's Finest, issue number 35. Now this is a really cool cover. This is the cover C variant. It's done by Chris Samnee, and I just think it's so cool. Something about Superman's head being cut off, and then like Batman like down in his pose is just super cool to me. Now next up is Ultimate Wolverine, issue number 1 with the cover A, done by Alessandro. I always butcher this man's last name. I need to really look it up and see how to pronounce his last name, but his artwork is so good and this cover is amazing, and he's going to be the interior artist on this book, which is going to make this book freaking scream. Now guys, next up is a cool cover. This is the Immortal Thor issue number 19 with the 1:25 ratio variant done by Lucas Warnick, and if you're an Angela fan, this cover is really cool. Now next up is another really cool cover. This is Batman and Robin Year 1 issue number 4 with the cover D variant, which is a 1:25 ratio variant done by Danny Earls. Now Danny Earls did a bunch of really cool covers for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles run, the first 4 issues, and this one has that same type of feel because there was always a city landscape on the Turtles ones. And this one you got Batman and Robin and they're like really little. And then there's this bright light kind of like flashing through the city that's reflecting their shadow on a building really big. Such a cool idea. Great cover. And you guys should be reading this book because it's really fun. Alright guys, next up is The New Gods issue number 2 with the cover E variant done by Mike Perkins. I'm not a huge New Gods fan, but the idea of the source wall right back there, and you got, I think his name is Metron, the guy who absorbs all the knowledge of the world or the universe, it's just so stinking cool. It's such a great cover in my opinion, especially if you read New Gods issue number 1. It's like setting up this amazing story. It's gonna be such a cool book. Next up is G.I. Joe issue number 3 with the cover C variant done by Pablos Villalobos. It's good. It's not great, but it's good enough to be on my cover lover picks. Alright guys, next up we got G.I. Joe issue number 3 with the cover D, which is a 1:10 ratio variant done by David Nakayama. I've shown this cover a couple times, but I don't understand her pose. I think this is a part of a connecting cover set that he's doing and will probably make more sense once it's all connected. This is such a strange pose for this character. Next up, G.I. Joe issue number 3 with the cover F, which is a 1:50 foil ratio variant done by Patricia Martin Samaniego. It almost kind of reminds me of Carmen Sandiego, but this cover is so cool. Her name reminds me of that, not this cover, the name. But this cover featuring the Cobra Commander is just, it is really stinking cool in my opinion. Alright guys, next up is another DNA cover. This is Storm issue number 4 with the Western variant done by David Nakayama. I don't love her face when I first saw it, or I should say I didn't love her face when I first saw it, but the more I look at this cover, the more I fall in love with it. Jean Chaps? It's pretty nice. Pretty stinking nice. Alright guys, next up is Gunslinger Spawn issue number 39 with the cover B variant done by Don Aguilio. It is just gorgeous. He's done a bunch of covers for this series and they're all really nice. You just got Gunslinger in this like really cool action pose and you get these leaves falling. Such a great cover. Next up, a bunch of covers for Rogue, The Savage Land, issue number 1. Now, I have no idea if the guts of this book is going to be any good or not, but man, the covers are amazing. First one that I like is the 1:25 ratio variant done by Alexander Lozano. So good. It's not the best, but he as an artist is so good. And he just dropped 2 exclusives that are now available for pre-order on unknowncomics.com that are gorgeous. Really good. I'm not a big exclusives guy, but man, you should go over there and check out his work because it's really good. He's done a bunch of exclusives for them. But this right here is the 1:25 ratio variant. Next up is the 1:50 ratio variant done by Jerome Opena. Again, really gorgeous. I like this one a lot because it doesn't focus so much her as a sex symbol, but more of like the savage land with all the big dinosaurs. Really stinking cool. Next up is definitely the best cover of the bunch, and it's open order, which is fantastic. This is the foil variant done by Adam Hughes. Now, he's done a bunch of covers over the last couple years, but man, not all of them have been absolute bangers, but this one, I would order two. Just order two because, you know, you love the artwork. And what if one comes a little damaged? You don't want that book to be damaged. No, you want this one to be nice, crispy, clean, and so good. Next up is the final cover for Rogue the Savage Land issue number 1. And I like this one. This is the design variant done by Russell Dodderman. It's really cool. I like the way he draws her. I like the way that he has like her poses and the different kind of things she wears. And she's got an old green outfit, which is pretty cool. I don't know. Cool cover. Next up, Feral issue number 9. And if you like cute kitty cats, well, this cover has it. This is the cover D. It's a 1:25 ratio variant done by Adriana Mello. Really just adorable cats. I don't know. I'm not a huge cat person, but those are some really cute cats. Next up, Minor Arcana issue number 5 with the cover F, which is a 1:25 virgin ratio variant done by Sebastian Fumera. Fantastic. I wish he was doing the interiors, not Jeff Lemire. Sorry, Jeff, your writing is incredible, but your artwork is a acquired taste. But this cover is really good. Next up, Spirits of Vengeance issue number 5 with the variant cover done by Jay Gonzo. So cool. So cool. I believe this character was in the last series and then is back again. I don't know. But either way, it's like a really cool metal Ghost Rider character. Really stinking cool. Next up, You Won't Feel a Thing. No, this is a Scott Snyder book, which is pretty cool. And it's going to have art by Jock. But this cover right here is a cover B. But there's also a cover X variant, which is a naughty variant done by Tula Lote. Gorgeous. We get a fanny. And on the X, you got some boobies in the fanny, so it is a home run of a book, or I should say of a cover. And then you know the inside's gonna be good as well. It's Snyder and Jock, come on! Next up are two, like, very random indie books. First up is Judge Dredd Magazine, issue number 476. Now, I believe there's just a cover A, and the cover artist isn't unknown. I couldn't find it anywhere on the internets, but this is a really gorgeous like piece of artwork. It's really cool. I have no idea who this character is, but just the level of detail is so nice. The brushwork, the coloring, everything about this cover is so good. Obviously, it's missing a trade dress and all that jazz, but man, this cover is awesome. Now, next up is another cover that I shared in the Discord, like I think last week when I saw it. It's got some tentacles, so you know Ghost loves this book. But guys, this is Howl, issue number 1 with the cover B variant, which is a 1:3 ratio variant done by Bill Kobe? I don't know how to pronounce that. But this cover is both creepy but really cool because the artwork of the woman in the chair is really nice. And you have these really creepy tentacles, and the coloring is really interesting, like really interesting. You got some blues and greens. Why is this lady green? And her hair is really red, but the red kind of extends beyond. I don't freaking know. This cover is just really cool. If you're into tentacles, well, this one is for you. And also, there's a tentacle that has an eye if you look really close, and the other tentacle is like bringing her a glass. So weird, but really cool. All right, guys. Those are all the covers that I really like. And just a quick reminder, guys, there are so many other covers out there that are coming out this week. I highly suggest you go over to LeagueOfComicGeeks.com, go to their new comic book day section, and then click on the side. You can go to advanced options and see separate covers. And then they will lay out all the covers, and you can just doom scroll your way through all of them like I do every single week. It's gorgeous. It's amazing seeing all that amazing artwork every single week. All right, guys. Those are my cover lover picks, and that means it's time to check out all the books that are on my pull list right now. Hey guys, they're right back here. Now, as you guys can see, the pull list is a little bit back to the larger size. That was not even English. My pull list is back at a larger size of a pull list. It's no longer in the teens. We've reached the 20 mark. That's right. There's 20 books up on this screen right now, but guys, for you, they're probably small and they're blurry and you can't see what those are. So let me go ahead and throw them up on screen right now. Guys, there are a total of 20 books on my pull list. And of those 20, there are 2 new number ones, but one is a one-shot, so really only 1 new number one, truly. But there are 7 DC books, 4 Marvel books, and 9 indie comics. Now, like I said before, I read the previous issue to every single book that you see on screen right now, so every single one of these books could make the top 3 list. Now, guys, there is one book on the chopping block this week, so let's go ahead and find out what book is being chopped from my pull list. Now, this is sadly a thing that I have to do. I do not love chopping books from my pull list. I really enjoy collecting all comics, especially with characters that I really enjoy. And this character that I'm chopping is like a really cool character, and I hate to do this, but guys, Laura Kinney, Wolverine issue number 2 comes out this week, and I read issue number 1 yesterday, and it was not good. Like, it was so bad. I just immediately was like, nope, chopping this from my pull list. Now, my previews order is due, I think, next week sometime, and I immediately went to my cart and I deleted issue number 4, which was on previews this month, from my list, because I cannot support a book that's going to have this character, which I know and love, tell such a terrible story. Now, this is written by Erica Schultz and has art by Giada Belviso, and every book over like the last 3 months, 4 months that Erica Schultz has been on, I have not enjoyed. Though she's done some really amazing or really cool indie work. But ever since she went over to Marvel, I haven't really enjoyed anything she's done. But guys, check it out for yourself. Make your own decision on if you want to keep this book on your pull list or not. I'm sure I'm going to pick up some covers in the future because the artwork will be really cool. Because, come on, it's Laura Kinney, it's Wolverine. There's always going to be cool covers. But for reading purposes, this book is officially been chopped from my pull list. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out the new number ones that are on my pull list this week. And I think you should check them out because I think they sound really stinking cool. There are 2 new number ones on my pull list. One is a one-shot and one is a new maxi series for the Ultimate Universe over at Marvel Comics. But the first one we're going to talk about is Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum issue number 1. Now, this is coming from the writer of Jeremy Adams, and it's going to have art by V. Ken Marin. And if you have not been reading Jeremy Adams' Green Lantern run, I highly suggest you go start at issue number 1 and get yourself caught up, because this is one of the better DC ongoing series at DC Comics. It's not my favorite. I think my favorite ongoing series right now is definitely probably Poison Ivy. I think that's overall a better story than this. It's more engaging. You fall in love more with the characters than you do with this book. But overall, this is a freaking amazing ongoing series. But this is a one-shot, and it's kicking off this whole fractured spectrum idea that was introduced in the last issue of Green Lantern. But let's go ahead and read the synopsis for this book. Following the events of the Civil Corps, a new era of Green Lantern mythology begins. That's huge. Once again, Oa has become the epicenter of the Green Lantern Corps, bringing justice to the furthest corners of the galaxy. But a new threat has emerged. Beings that manifest uncontrolled parts of the emotional spectrum have randomly appeared throughout the universe, dubbed Fractal Lanterns. Hal and a reformed Green Lantern Corps set off to police this strange new phenomenon while uncovering a sinister plot that could eliminate the very essence of sentient life, which is really cool. That just sounds awesome. Kilowog is back. I don't know how to pronounce his name technically, but you know, the huge hulking Green Lantern with the weird face. And he's back, and overall this series has just been so freaking good. So make sure you guys are reading Green Lantern Fractal Spectrum issue number 1. Now, next up is Ultimate Wolverine issue number 1. I'm so pumped for this series. Now, this is coming from the writer of Chris Condon and has art by Alessandro Cappuccio. I'm totally butchering your name, Alessandro. I'm sorry. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Chris Condon, but I can also say I've only read a few things from him. But the idea of Ultimate Wolverine is awesome. This whole Ultimate Universe has been solid. It hasn't been amazing. I think Absolute Universe is definitely winning in the overall story concept idea than the Ultimate Universe. But come on, Ultimate Spider-Man is so good, and I really like the Ultimate so far. But let's go ahead and read the synopsis for this book. The makers ultimate weapon. From rising star Chris Condon and Moon Knight powerhouse artist Alessandro Cappuccio comes the story of the ultimate Wolverine. In order to maintain control of their corner of the Maker's world, 3 members of his council, Magic, Colossus, and Omega Red, deploy their most lethal asset, the Winter Soldier. But who is the weapon behind the mask? Ooh, I don't know. Who's it gonna be? Obviously, it's probably gonna be Logan, but maybe they'll switch it up on us. This is the Ultimate Universe. Guys, there are a ton of awesome variant covers. I'll make sure I will show some of those during the reading of this, but guys, make sure you're picking this up, especially if you're enjoying the Ultimate Universe over at Marvel Comics so far. All right, guys, enough of that. Let's go ahead and dive into the top 3 books that I think you have to be picking up this week because the previous issues were so good. All right, guys, I am really excited to tell you about these top 3 books because the previous issues just blew my socks off. They were so good, and they're all mostly new stories, so it will be really easy to get caught up on if you're not currently reading these series. So just listen to my words. They're not the most eloquent all the time, but the passion behind these words are full of just awesome energy. So guys, just try to listen. Maybe pick these books up because I think they're going to be freaking awesome. All right, guys. First up, The New Gods, issue number 2. Now, this is coming from the writer of Rom V and has art by Evan Cagle. And guys, I gotta tell you, issue number 1, I was a little hesitant. Rom V is an amazing writer, like so good. But his Detective Comics series was like out there. It was like, for me, it wasn't an enjoyable read. It was kind of like hard to follow, and I just did not enjoy it. But his indie stuff is like some of the best. It's like amazing storytelling. But I guess for me, his DC work hasn't been as strong. But after reading The New Gods, issue number 1, that completely changed. I am so excited for this series. Now, the whole idea of the series is that an old god has died, which is Darkseid, and that started the catalyst for something. And that something is that a new god has been born. And some people see that as a threat, and some people see that as something they can take advantage of. And the main new god, I forgot what his name is, has sent Orion, which is a really cool character, off to kill this child because he sees it as a threat. But Orion goes to his brother, Mr. Miracle, and asks him, like, hey, I need you to do me a favor because I have to do what Father says. But you tend to not do what he says, so could you go find this child and hide him from me? Because I don't want to kill this child, but I'm going to because I always do what Daddy says. And the way Rom V handled the Mr. Miracle section of the book was almost exactly how Tom King wrote his Mr. Miracle series, which was incredible. It was so good. Because when you're in the New Guard world, everything has a certain speech pattern to it, and it's not always the easiest to read. It can be kind of boring and laborsome. But when he gets to that outside of that world, and you see Mr. Miracle and Big Barda, everything just kind of falls back into what I would say like normal speak, and it's just so much more entertaining. And the way that Big Barda and Mr. Miracle are dealing with their baby, it's just like real parent stuff. And I'm a parent, and I've gone through that, and it's just so real to life. It's so good. And I loved these little teases and things we found out about Orion during this book, because I didn't know some of the stuff because I'm not a big New Gods fan. But the artwork was incredible. The story is so good. And then this next issue, the synopsis is teasing like we're going to see this evil come up and like go after the child because he wants the power that this child is going to have. And there's going to be more to this story. And it was a smooth read. Even with, like I said, when we're back on, I think it's called New Genesis, wherever the New Gods are. And then, like, the language was a little tough to follow, but it was just, like, it was still flowed really nice. The artwork was great, and it's just going to be a fun book. I know it's going to be a fun book. And with Mr. Miracle at the forefront, it's going to be such a good book. I've said that a lot. Such a good book. Such a good book. It's going to be good. But like I said, the artwork has been incredible. The story was a ton of fun, and it's just Rom V, man. If you have enjoyed some of his past stuff, highly suggest you guys check this book out. If you haven't, and you trust the words coming out of my mouth, pick up issue 1, pick up issue 2. You're gonna be in $10. That really isn't too bad. It's crazy that 2 comics cost $10 nowadays. I understand why some people read digitally now, because you need like just buy the pass and like just read as much as you want for your pass, but I gotta have my floppy copies. But guys, New Gods issue number 2 out this week with some okay covers overall, but just pick up the story, read the story, you're gonna love it. All right, guys, that is my number 3 book. Let's go ahead and find out what my number 2 is. Another DC book. I know I'm a big DC fan, but the writing over at DC Comics is just kicking butt compared to Marvel Comics. And guys, number 2 book is Jenny Sparks issue number 6. Now this is coming from the writer of Tom King and has art by Jeffrey Spokes. Now, when I first read issue number 1, I believe this book was on the okay list, which is not a good place to be. You don't want to be on the okay list. You want to be on good or the great. And I was thinking about chopping this book because sometimes Tom King does not hit, but the more I read of this series, it got better and better and better. And issue number 5, which I read yesterday, just kind of like cement this book as great. Sometimes a book does take a few issues to really get rolling, and this one did. It took 1 issue to get rolling because issue number 2 got better and better. And the artwork by Jeffrey Spokes, so freaking amazing. This guy, DC Comics needs to sink their teeth into him, get him on books, and keep him on books. Just like, there's another guy that I really like, Adrian Gutierrez, who did Blue Beetle, and then he jumped over to, what is it, World's Finest Batman Superman. But Jeffrey Spokes' art is incredible. He's done a bunch of covers for indie books for a while, but his interiors are just so great. This whole story follows Jenny Sparks. If you don't know her as a character, I don't really know her that well, but she is like, she has the power of the century, and she is in charge of this century that we're in, and she has the power to kill Superman, kill Batman, kill anyone she deems a threat to the world, to the timeline. And there's Captain Atom, which is an underused character in my opinion. He's super cool, and he loses kind of his mind in this series, and he thinks he should be considered a god, and he manifests new powers and that are really cool. And he takes Bar, he kidnaps them basically, and then superheroes come in and try to stop him, and all these things are happening, and you got this whole story unfolding. But the way Tom King does his storytelling, it's not just like a one continuous story. There's flashbacks, there's flash forwards, there's just so many amazing things that happen in this book that are just incredible. And again, did I say the artwork by Jeffrey Spokes is so good? Because it is! It's amazing! Overall, this series has flowed really well after issue 1, and it's gotten, like I said, to become a home run of a book. I think you guys should have 100% be picking this book up. I'm not sure how long this series is going to be. Tom King usually does like a maxi series, so I'm guessing this book is going to be 12 issues. We're 6 in. Maybe this is only going to be 8. I should have checked before I did this section of the video. Maybe I will look it up when I'm editing this, and I'll put it up on screen right now. How long is it going to be, Bruce? There we go. That's how long it's going to be. All right, guys. There's only one variant cover. It's done by Leslie Lyrics Lee. I don't care for it. Definitely pick up the cover A and pick up this book. All right, guys. That is my number 2 book. I rambled. I'm sorry. When I get excited about a book, and then sometimes my thoughts don't come together, well, I just ramble. So, but just know this book is freaking incredible. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and find out what my number 1 book that I'm most excited to get my hands on this week is going to be. And it's an indie, and it's gonna be a freaking banger. All right, guys, the number 1 book that I am most excited to pick up, based on the previous issue getting me so excited, is FML issue number 3. Now, this is coming from the writer of Kelly Sue DeConnick and has art by David Lopez. 2 issues in to this book, I was blown away by both issues. The storytelling is so engaging. The first one, we followed the son of a family, and you follow his day as it progressed, and you learned a little bit about his past. And I love the little inserts of humor that is in this book. They change like art style when they do that, and it just really highlights that part of the book. So the artwork telling, the artwork storytelling of this book is so incredible. It's so good. The story is really good, but the way David Lopez is laying out the book and the panels and jumping between real life stuff and then like some really humorous moments, and it's just so great. But what is, I think, really important to know about this book is that Kelly Sue DeConnick, which I don't think I've read much of her artwork. I don't think I've read much of her work, is the highlight, like the true highlight of this book. She immediately engages you into the characters that are happening in this book, or that we're following in this book, and you're really interested in every single one of them. In the first issue, we were introduced, yes, to her son, but then all of his friends. There were like 6 of them, and you got little nuggets of information for each one, which gave them a personality, gave you a little history to those characters, and why those characters are hanging out with this kid. And it was really cool. And there's a big epic ending that with a cliffhanger at the end, and you're like, how is this going to turn out for this poor kid? And then issue number 2, its main focus is the mom of this kid and how she handles the cliffhanger at the end of issue number 1, and how she's handling the stress of raising 2 kids, and her husband's off away doing something else. He's going to come back. You find out that he's just away on business, but she's like, juggling a lot of things, and she's stressed out, and she's like on a deadline for writing a book, and it's just, there's so many funny moments, but they're like real life moments. That's the thing with this book. She's telling the story and using words and slang that kids are using today, but not in an annoying way. It's annoying because I hate that slang. My kids use it all the time, and I'm like, oh, those words are so dumb, but I'm sure my parents thought the same exact thing when I was using like rad and totally and this is tubular and whatever else I said when I was a kid. But it just flows so well, and immediately, like I said, it engages you into the characters. And the same thing happened in issue number 2. But at the end of issue number 2, so she's dealing with the chaos of everything, you find out more about what happened in issue number 1. And there is a murderer. A murderer that was in the mom's past, you find out. And there's a group of friends that are trying to still solve their friend's disappearance murder. And at the end is like another cliffhanger. This book has been great. The cliffhangers at the end of each issue have been incredible. The art by David Lopez has been great. And the writing, like I said, by Kelly Sue DeConnick. It's like, I love how she's engaged me into these characters, and I want to know more. And David Lopez's art, incredible. All right, I'm rambling again. There is one variant cover. It's done by Michael Allred. I don't care for it. Definitely the cover A by David Lopez. All right, guys, those are the top 3 books I think you guys have to be picking out this week. I'm sure this video is long, so next up is the not top 3, but the books you gotta see, which are the rest of the books on my pull list, and I'll try to go as quickly as possible. Alright guys, I'm going to quickly cover the rest of the books that are on my pull list. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'll read the previous issue to the books that I'm going to talk about, and that's why these books are landing in these sections, because of the previous issue, not the current issue that is coming out this week. Now, I break this up into 3 different categories. The okay, which are books that I really cannot suggest you guys to pick up because I am not enjoying the current story right now. Then there's the good, super solid books that are super fun that you guys should consider picking up because the story is good. And then there's the great. And these are the books I think you guys have to really consider picking up because they're great, great stories. First up, the okay section. There are 2 books. First up is The Incredible Hulk, issue number 21. I really want to enjoy this book, but there's 2 things that are keeping me from really enjoying it, and that's why this book is in the okay. One is the artwork. Nick Klein is a great artist, but he has been on this book very little. They keep having fill-in artists fill in, and I do not enjoy them. They are not very good. It takes away from the story, and the story is not that strong. That's the second thing. The overall concept through 20 issues that I've read so far is good, but it's not great. And how they're moving the story along has some really cheesy dialogue, some really cheesy action moments, and not super solid threads that are really good at like telling the story. So this book is really suffering, and it's on the okay. It's really close to being chopped. I might just finish this next story arc and then chop because I'm not enjoying it. Next up, Stand Still, issue number 6. Same thing. They switched artists. There was an artist on the first 3 issues, and then issues number 4 and 5 had a completely different artist, and they are just not good in my opinion. And the storytelling went from like really solid because it seemed like the writer and artist were really cohesive in their ideas and what they were telling, and this new artist it's not good. Like totally takes away from the story. It makes the story go from like good to great to okay, just okay. Next up, the good books. These are really super solid stories. First up, we got Batman, Superman, World's Finest, issue number 35. Again, Mark Waid, 35 issues in. We're just having a ton of fun with the 2 biggest characters at DC Comics. And it's just, we're starting a new story arc. And I'm just excited because all the stories have been super fun. Not great, just super fun. Next up, Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 39. I'm in like 9 or 10 issues, and it's just like really good. Because I jumped in at a certain point, I was like, you know what, I'm diving in, and I've just enjoyed the story. It's been super fun. Next up, Miles Morales Spider-Man, issue number 29. This book does need to get better. It's Miles freaking Morales. They're dealing with this whole fact that he's a vampire now, and T'Challa is trying to help him become not a vampire, and it's just, there's some moments that are really great, but overall, the same thing with like the Incredible Hulk, there's just so much cheese. I don't need cheese with my Miles Morales. I just want awesome, amazing, heartfelt, heartwarming moments because he's a kid. He's still a kid. You gotta like really lean into the fact that he's still a kid and he should struggle and make mistakes and like those mistakes, he needs to learn from them and then grow up and become a better person. They're not doing that, and it's just, I don't know. It's just okay. Or it's just good. It should be great. Next up, The Nice House by the Sea, issue number 5. This book is getting better. The first few issues really suffered, but what is really cool about this book is that The Nice House by the Lake is totally tied in to this whole story. So this is more of a continuation of that world. So if you enjoyed that, definitely pick this up because the world is getting bigger and more scary and more awesome. Next up, Nightwing, issue number 122. Good. I was really nervous that this book was going to go bad really quick because Tom Taylor did such a great job, and putting a new creative team on after him had to have been daunting. But the story is getting better. I feel more of the Tom Taylor feels in this, and overall, it's a good book. It should be great, again, because it's Nightwing, but it's good. Next up, Witchblade, issue number 7. Issue number 6 really felt like a cohesive issue. It felt like it really finished off that first story arc from the first 5 issues, and it really just brought it all together, and it was super good. Really enjoyed it. Next up, the great books. Batman and Robin, year 1, issue number 4 comes out this week. I am loving this story. Again, Mark Waid, man. Mark Waid telling some really, really fun stories. These are stories from the past with Dick Grayson and Batman really like learning who each other are as both father and son, and a parent that's never been a parent before, and this is his first adopted child. And they're going through growing pains, and Alfred's there trying to help, but they're also dealing with the big bads of Gotham City. Such a great story. Next up, G.I. Joe, issue number 3. Issue number 2 was a ton of fun. I didn't love issue number 1, but issue number 2 really brought it together, and I enjoyed it a lot more. Joshua Williamson, you knew it was going to be good. It's Joshua Williamson. Everything that he wrote over at DC Comics has been a ton of fun. Really good storytelling. I loved it. So issue number 2, I loved a lot of the stuff he did at DC Comics. Now, G.I. Joe is his main focus, and I'm really excited to see where this story is going to go. Next up, Minor Arcana, issue number 5, Jeff Lemire. The storytelling is why this book is in the great, because it really is a great, intriguing, engaging story about a girl who is, she doesn't know that she's a psychic and has like really special psychic powers, but she's an alcoholic. She's had some tragedy in her life. She goes back home to help her mom who's dying of cancer, and she's a psychic, and she's learning more about her mom and herself, and it's helping her grow, but she's also like really hesitant to let herself grow because she's so jaded. Really fun story. Next up, The Moon is Following Us, issue number 5, Daniel Warren Johnson. The story is good. Like really good. And that's why this book is on the great section now, because the first few issues, it really did start to took a while to get going, but now the story is just like this big, epic battle of these two parents to save their daughter basically from herself, because she's stuck in a dream state, and she's like, there's all this crazy dream stuff happening, and they have to go into her sleep state with her and battle all these demons to save her. But the main villain they're fighting is someone you would not expect, the grandma. What is the grandma doing in there? I don't know. It's super cool. Next up, The Scorched, issue number 37. Super amazing Spawn book. Like, really good. I think this is probably my favorite Spawn book because it's just a team of really amazing Spawn characters, and it's written really well. And there's been lots of twists and turns where you think it's going one way, and you really do think a character is going down this one dark path, but it's just a trick. They were leading people on to believe that, and then their team comes in and saves them, and they battle all the big bads, and it's just, it really is a ton of fun, and the artwork has been fantastic. Last but not least, Wind, Power of Blood, issue number 2. This book probably should have been on the top 3 list, but I read this book first like over a week ago, and I gotta be honest, like when I've read a book that long ago, some of the finer details of that story kind of fall to wayside because I read so many books. I read 18 books this week, and all those stories, because I read this first, so 17 other stories got in the way of that. But if you have been reading Wind all along, you know that this is like such a beautiful story. It pulls on the heartstrings. The big bads are actually big and scary. There are actual consequences for everyone's decisions, and it's dealing with like monsters and humans and trying to work together but also hating each other, and dealing with being a kid and being a homosexual and all the normal, like, you know, James Tynan tropes, but done so well. And Michael Delanis' artwork is like the best thing you're going to look at every single day. It's so gorgeous. Now, everyone has their own art style, like their style that they know and love and like. But Michael Delanis, I met him at New York Comic Con, one of the nicest freaking dudes. And he was so excited to show me pages of the upcoming series of this book and his future work, and he's just so cool, and his artwork really is gorgeous. So check out this book if you have not already been reading it. Go back, read the previous volumes, get caught up, because this story is worth every single dollar that you're going to spend on it, and it's worth your time. All right, guys, that is everything for today's video. We've done it all. I'm sure this video is super long, and if you stuck around, well, I'm going to thank you in just a second. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up. All right, guys, we are at the end of today's video. What a video. What a week in comics. There's so many good comics coming out this week, guys. Let me know down in the comments below what books you are most excited about. What is your top 3? But if you guys have been watching from the beginning of this video all the way to this point right here, I just gotta say thank you, and you guys are legends. Now, last but not least, guys, before I sign off on today's video, I gotta ask you to do 2 things. 1, if you guys enjoyed this video and you enjoy comic book content and you guys are not subscribed, well, I'm just gonna say, what are you doing? Get yourself subscribed, hit that bell for notifications, and smash that like button. Next thing, I just said it, I'm gonna say it again. The biggest thing you can do to help support this channel is smash that like button. Subscribing is great, but smashing the like button is really important because it helps push this video out to more people, and the more people that see that might get more interested in comics, and if they're buying comics, they're helping supporting our hobby and keeping it aloft, and everyone wants that because comics are so freaking amazing. Now, I'm not sure if we're gonna have a comics and beer on Friday. I know it's already Tuesday, and if I'm gonna have a comics and beer, I should be promoting it today, but Stephanie is still feeling the effects of being sick for 2 straight weeks. She was sick as a dog for 2 weeks, like pretty much right after Christmas until like Sunday. She started feeling more of herself. So most likely we're gonna skip this week and we'll start it up again next week. All right, guys, have yourself a great new comic day. Hope you get all the books that you want to pick up this week, and I'll catch you guys on Friday with my final order cutoff highlights video. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.